He bridge of the Odyssey 2 hummed with the steady thrum of her warp core, a lullaby to the 500 souls in stasis below and the 7 dedicated crew members who called this vessel home. Captain Eva Rostova, her silver-streaked hair pulled back in a severe bun, gazed out at the swirling patterns of nascent nebulae through the main viewport. 2 years, 3 months, and 17 days. That's how long they'd been away from Earth, on a mission to survey Kepler 186f for potential exoplanet colonization. The data they were bringing back was invaluable, painting a hopeful picture of a new home for humanity. Eva traced a finger over the worn edge of her console. The Odyssey 2 wasn't a warship. She was an exploration vessel, built for endurance and quiet resilience. Her defenses were minimal, primarily energy shields designed to deflect micrometeoroids and the occasional solar flare. Her crew was a carefully selected blend of scientists, engineers, and a single, grizzled ex-military pilot, Commander Jax Shadow Riley, whose weathered face held more stories than any star map. Across the bridge, Dr. Eris Thorne, the lead xenobiologist, was engrossed in a holographic display of photosynthetic algae from Kepler. His boundless enthusiasm was infectious, a stark contrast to the quiet tension that often permeated deep space. Lieutenant Lena Petrova, the ship's comms and navigation officer, meticulously tracked their trajectory, her fingers dancing over the touch screen. Engineer Kai Nakamura, ever vigilant, monitored the warp core diagnostics, a faint, contented hum escaping him when readings were optimal. Captain, Lena's voice broke the comfortable silence. Grav buoy readings from Sector Gamma. 7 confirm we're on schedule for the Andromeda jump gate in 3 weeks. Estimated arrival back in Earth orbit, 3 months, 2 days. A collective sigh of relief, subtle but palpable, swept through the bridge. Home. The word tasted sweet, a promise after years of cold, dark void. They were a family, forged in isolation, their dreams of familiar skies and loved ones a shared beacon. Eva allowed herself a small smile. Excellent, Lena. Kai, maintain optimal warp efficiency. Eris, try not to get too attached to your alien moss. Jax, keep us steady. Jax, a man of few words, simply grunted in acknowledgement, his gaze fixed on the endless stream of stars. He was a veteran of the last interstellar border skirmish, a brief but brutal conflict that had reminded humanity of the dangers lurking beyond their well-charted systems. His presence was a silent reminder that even in an era of hopeful expansion, the universe was still a vast, unpredictable place. Below deck, the stasis pods contained the rest of their human cargo, scientists, engineers, pioneering families, all awaiting the moment they would awaken to the familiar hum of Earth's atmosphere. They were the future, slumbering peacefully. The Odyssey 2 was equipped with state-of-the-art long-range sensors, designed to detect even the faintest energy signatures or gravitational anomalies. They had encountered nothing but the expected during their journey. Rogue asteroids, distant stellar phenomena, the occasional drift of ancient, lifeless space debris. The galaxy, so far, had been a beautiful, empty canvas. Eva turned back to the viewport, her smile fading slightly. Jax's silent vigilance was a constant companion. They were far from home, beyond the reaches of known alliances. Even with their advanced technology and the vastness of space, a primal, ancient fear sometimes crept in, the fear of the unknown. But they were humans. They were explorers. They had faced the unknown before, and they were, after all, heading home. Nothing could stop them now, or so they believed. 3 days into their final leg, a subtle anomaly flickered across Lena Petrova's navigation console. It wasn't an alarm, not yet, just a faint, almost imperceptible whisper in the deep space acoustic sensors, a signature unlike anything catalogued. Captain. Lena's voice was cautious, her brow furrowed in concentration. I'm picking up an unusual energy reading. Faint, highly transient. Originates from what should be empty space in Sector Gamma 7. Definitely not a natural phenomenon. Eva moved to Lena's station, her expression neutral. Can you categorize it? Lena ran a series of diagnostic scans. Negative. It's too weak, too fleeting. Almost like a ghost signature. But it's there. And it's repeating. A very subtle, rhythmic pulse. Low frequency, almost infrasound. Kai Nakamura, having overheard, chimed in from engineering. Infrasound in space? That's not normal, Lena. Are your sensors malfunctioning? Negative, Kai. All systems nominal. I've cross-referenced with auxiliary arrays. It's real, and it's getting marginally stronger. Lena magnified the display, revealing a faint, shimmering distortion in the fabric of space itself. It was as if something was moving through the void, subtly warping reality around it. Is it approaching? Eva asked, her hand hovering over the comms panel. Hard to tell, Lena replied, her fingers flying across her console. The shifts are too minute. It's like something is trying very hard not to be detected, almost cloaked. Jax Riley, who had been silently observing, finally spoke, his voice a low gravel. Cloaked vessels usually mean trouble. What's its trajectory relative to ours? Direct intercept course, Lena stated, a hint of unease creeping into her voice. On our current vector, it will pass within a few 100,000 kilometers in approximately 8 hours. Eva's hand dropped to the comms panel. All right, passive scans only. No active pings, no emissions. Red alert, silent running. All non-essential systems offline. Get ready to activate defensive shields. We don't know what this is, and until we do, we assume the worst. The bridge lights dimmed, casting long shadows. The gentle hum of the Odyssey 2 softened to a near-silent whisper. The atmosphere grew taut with anticipation. 8 hours. Enough time for a long coffee, or for the unknown to close in. Eris Thorne, his usual enthusiasm replaced by a scientific curiosity, tinged with apprehension, leaned closer to Lena's console. Can you get any visual data? Any thermal readings? Anything? Only vague gravitational distortions, Lena replied, her eyes glued to the screen. It's massive, whatever it is, but it's not radiating heat in any discernible way, and it's not reflecting light. As the hours crawled by, the faint whisper grew into a low thrum, vibrating through the ship's hull. The gravitational distortions became more pronounced, subtly tugging at the Odyssey 2, making Lena constantly adjust their trim. The sheer scale of the anomaly, unseen yet felt, was terrifying. It was a phantom in the void, a silent predator stalking them through the darkness. Then, just as the 8-hour mark approached, Lena gasped. Captain, visual anomaly. It's shimmering. On the main viewport, the stars began to distort, rippling like reflections on water. A colossal form, darker than the void itself, slowly resolved itself from the distortions. It wasn't reflecting light, it was absorbing it. Its surface was not metal or rock, but something organic, chitinous, with sharp, angular protrusions that seemed to slice through space. No lights, no discernible engines. It was a nightmare rendered in 3 dimensions. My God, Eris whispered, his voice trembling. Defensive shields to full power. Eva roared, her voice cutting through the stunned silence. All hands to battle stations. Identify that vessel. But before Lena could complete the scan, the nightmare ship moved. Not with engines, but with a silent, impossible speed. A sudden lurch that sent the Odyssey 2 reeling. A massive, tender-like appendage, as long as the Odyssey 2 itself, lashed out from the alien vessel. It didn't fire a beam or a projectile. It simply reached. The bridge shuddered violently. Alarms blared. Impact. Kai yelled from engineering. Shields at 30%. Hull breach, Section 4. The viewport filled with the horrifying sight of the alien vessel, its dark, organic mass filling their vision, its tendrils wrapping around the Odyssey 2. They weren't simply encountering an alien ship. They were caught. The Odyssey 2 shrieked in protest as the alien tendrils, thick as an asteroid and unervingly organic, tightened their grip. The ship's hull groaned, metal twisting under immense, unimaginable pressure. Alarms blared, flashing red across every console. Shields failing. Kai screamed, his face pale with strain. They're draining our energy. Life support dropping in Section 4. On the main viewport, The terrifying vessel dominated their view. It was immense, a monstrous leviathan of the void. Its skin was a mottled black, like polished obsidian, but with a texture that seemed to writhe and ripple, as if made of living, calcified muscle. No discernible windows or propulsion systems were visible. Instead, dozens of smaller, razor-sharp tendrils, tipped with what looked like crystalline teeth, began to scrape and carve into the Odyssey II's outer hull. "They're not attacking with weapons, Captain," Lena cried out, her voice laced with terror. "They're eating us. Gravimetric readings indicate they're absorbing our energy, processing our ship's mass." Eva stared, horrified. These weren't simply hostile aliens. They were something else entirely. Predators on a cosmic scale. She remembered Jax's old war stories about the border skirmishes, human frigates facing alien raiders. This was beyond anything he'd ever described. "Identify species," Eva demanded, gripping the edge of her command chair. "No match, Captain," Eris Thorne shouted, frantically cross-referencing every known alien designation. "No biological or technological signature in any database. They are completely unknown." "They're called the Void Farm." Jax Riley's voice was a low, chilling whisper. He hadn't moved from his pilot's seat, his eyes fixed on the monstrous vessel. Old spacers' tales, legends of ships that disappear without a trace, consumed by the void itself. The grinding sound intensified, echoing through the ship. Lights flickered. Emergency power kicked in, bathing the bridge in a sickly red glow. The Odyssey II was being devoured, slowly, relentlessly. "Initiate escape maneuvers," Eva yelled. "Full reverse thrust. Try to shake them off." Jack slammed his hand down, but the Odyssey II barely shuddered. The tendrils held them fast, immovable. "No good, Captain. We're locked down. They've fused with our hull, draining power directly." A new horror unfolded. From the main body of the Void Farm vessel, smaller, insectal creatures, glistening with a viscous, black sheen, began to pour out. They scuttled across the hull of the Odyssey II, their multi-jointed legs clicking against the metal, their chitinous bodies reflecting the faint emergency lights. "Boarders," Kai screamed, pointing at the main airlock display, which was rapidly being breached. "They're cutting through the hull. They're inside." Eva drew her sidearm, a standard Peacekeeper energy pistol, its power output pitiful against what they were facing. "Arm yourselves. Protect the stasis pods. We are not abandoning our people." The bridge crew scrambled, grabbing emergency rifles from the armory locker. Fear, cold and sharp, had replaced the initial shock. They were fighting for their lives, for the lives of the sleeping 500 below. The airlock hissed, then groaned as the alien boarders tore it open from within. The first creature scuttled onto the bridge. It was roughly bipedal, but hunched, with razor-sharp claws on its four arms. Its head was a featureless black dome, devoid of eyes or discernible sensory organs, yet it moved with terrifying precision, as if it could taste their fear. A sickening, sweet odor, like rotting meat and ozone, filled the bridge. "Fire!" Eva commanded, unleashing a volley of energy bolts. The creature shrieked, its chitinous shell deflecting most of the blasts, but one struck a vulnerable joint, making it stagger. More followed, pouring onto the bridge. The Odyssey II was no longer an exploration vessel. It was a coffin, slowly being eaten, its occupants hunted. The terrifying aliens, the Void Farm, had found them, and they had nowhere to run. The bridge became a maelstrom of desperate defense. The Void Farm boarders, though resilient, were not invincible. The human crew, armed with their emergency rifles, fought with grim determination. Eva, Jax, Lena, Eris, and Kai fired in coordinated bursts, attempting to funnel the creatures, to contain them. But for every creature they stunned or destroyed, two more seemed to scuttle in through the breached airlock. Their numbers were overwhelming. The sickening sweet smell of their presence thickened, making breathing difficult. The ship itself was dying around them. Lights flickered erratically, the decks shuddered underfoot, and the low groan of the Odyssey II being consumed intensified. "They're reaching the central access shaft," Lena yelled, pointing at a holographic schematic of the ship, which showed red indicators rapidly spreading towards the stasis pod bay. They're heading for the cryochambers. A primal fear, cold and pure, gripped Eva. They could fight for their own lives, but to fail to protect the sleeping colonists, that was unthinkable. Jax, Eris, cover me, Eva yelled, charging towards the shaft, firing bursts at the encroaching creatures. Her aim was true, but their chitinous armor was incredibly tough. Eris, despite his academic background, was surprisingly accurate with his rifle, dropping 2 creatures with well-placed shots. Jax moved like a shadow, his movements efficient, dispatching creatures with brutal efficiency. His face a mask of grim resolve. But they were still being pushed back. The last of the ship's energy was draining, the main viewport now showing only the hideous, pulsing surface of the Voidfang vessel, its tendrils firmly embedded in their hull. The light of distant stars was completely obscured. They were completely engulfed, swallowed whole. Captain, Kai's voice was strained, barely audible over the din of battle. Warp core destabilizing. They've breached the containment field. We're going to blow. A chilling realization washed over Eva. This wasn't just a defeat, it was annihilation. The Voidfang wasn't just consuming them. They were destabilizing their core for an explosive, final feast. They were going to die, and take the 500 colonists with them. Suddenly, a massive, multi-jointed Voidfang creature, larger than the others, burst onto the bridge, its tendril-like head swaying, as if sniffing the air. It ignored the fighting crew, its segmented body moving directly towards the captain's chair, towards Eva. Its claws were raised, dripping with a foul-smelling ichor. Eva raised her pistol, but she knew it was useless. This was the end. The terror of failing the colonists, of their long journey ending in such a horrific, meaningless destruction, filled her. Just as the creature lunged, a flash of brilliant, iridescent blue light erupted from the breached airlock. It wasn't a weapon blast, but something else. A streak of impossible speed, a blur of motion. A new figure stood in the airlock, tall, impossibly slender, with skin that shimmered like mother of pearl, reflecting the dim emergency lights. It had 2 arms, ending in delicate 4-fingered hands, and its head was elongated, crowned with a crest of what looked like crystalline filaments that pulsed with the same iridescent blue light. Its eyes, large and deep black, seemed to absorb the light around them, yet held an undeniable intelligence. It wasn't human. It wasn't Voidfang. It was an alien, completely unknown. This new entity moved with a fluid grace, a dance of precision and power. It didn't carry a visible weapon. Instead, its hands glowed with that same blue light. It struck the attacking Voidfang creature not with physical force, but with a surge of pure energy, a focused, concussive wave that sent the creature reeling, its chitinous armor cracking, before it crumpled to the ground lifeless. The other Voidfang creatures paused, their featureless heads turning towards the newcomer. A low, chittering sound emanated from them, a sound of confusion and perhaps fear. The iridescent alien stood between the human crew and the remaining Voidfang, its form a stark, beautiful contrast to the nightmare creatures. It held its ground, not with aggression, but with an aura of contained power. It had just saved Eva's life. It had just given them a moment of reprieve on the brink of annihilation. But who was it? And why had it intervened? The standoff was electric. The remaining Voidfang creatures on the bridge hesitated, their chittering sounds growing louder, more agitated. The iridescent alien stood motionless, its black eyes fixed on the invaders, its crystalline crest pulsating softly. What is that thing? Eris whispered, his rifle still aimed, but his voice full of awe. It saved me. Eva breathed, her pistol still raised, but her attention captivated by the new alien. Suddenly, the alien raised one of its slender, 4-fingered hands. It didn't make a gesture of peace, but rather a precise, almost surgical movement. A burst of the iridescent blue light emanated from its palm, not a weapon blast, but a wave of pure, disruptive energy. It swept across the remaining Voidfang creatures, not destroying them, but causing their movements to become erratic, their chitinous shells to glow with the faint, angry red, before they collapsed, twitching, then going still. It was as if their internal mechanisms had simply failed. The bridge fell silent, save for the groan of the Odyssey 2 and the frantic alerts from Kai Station. The alien turned its head slowly, its dark eyes sweeping across the human crew. It was evaluating them, Kalen realized. Assessing the situation, assessing them. Its gaze settled on Eva. Then a voice, not spoken but projected directly into their minds, resonated with a strange, harmonic quality. Your vessel is failing. The consumption will be complete. You have moments. Eva gasped, staggering slightly. Telepathy. It wasn't a language, but a direct thought projection. It was chilling, but the message was clear. Your core, the alien continued, its mental voice calm, urgent. Instability. I can divert the energy, but it requires proximity. Divert what energy? Kai stammered, his eyes wide. The warp core. You can't just touch it. The flow must be redirected. The alien projected, its focus unwavering. A precise channel. Otherwise, Nova. Eva looked at Kai. Can it be done? A controlled discharge. Kai shook his head, frantically wiping sweat from his brow. Captain, even if it could, no biological being could withstand the energy transfer. It would vaporize them. The alien's mental voice seemed to hold a hint of something akin to understanding. My kind are attuned to energy. It is possible, but you must trust. Trust. An unknown alien, who had just effortlessly dispatched terrifying monsters, was offering to plunge its hands into a failing warp core, potentially vaporizing itself to save them. It was insane. But what other choice did they have? The ship was moments from exploding. Show me. Eva projected back, focusing her will, hoping the alien understood. Show me what you intend to do. The alien glided towards Kai's console, its slender fingers hovering over the holographic schematics of the warp core. Another mental projection. This one a complex series of diagrams and energy pathways flowed directly into their minds. It was a dizzying display of highly advanced energy manipulation, far beyond human understanding. It involved redirecting the volatile energies into a controlled, external burst, sacrificing propulsion but saving the main structure. Kai stared at the mental projection, his jaw slack. It's theoretical. Ancient energy physics. No human could do that. It would require manipulating quantum fields by hand. I am not human, the alien projected, a subtle, almost right tone in its mental voice. Do you accept? There's no other path. Eva looked at her crew. Jax, grim but nodding. Eris, bewildered but silent. Lena, trembling but resolute. Kai, pale but desperate. They had no other option. All right, Eva projected, her voice firm, resolute. We accept. Do it. The alien immediately glided towards the engineering access hatch. Come. You must stabilize the peripheral conduits. My focus will be absolute. Eva, Jax, and Kai followed, leaving Lena and Eris to guard the bridge and the stasis pods. The narrow corridors of the Odyssey 2 groaned around them, the red emergency lights casting grotesque shadows. The smell of ozone and burnt metal was overwhelming. They reached the engineering section, a chaotic mess of sparking conduits and ruptured panels. The warp core, visible through a reinforced observation window, pulsed with an ominous, rapidly accelerating glow, a harbinger of imminent destruction. The alien placed its hands, palm flat, on the transparent shielding of the core. The iridescent blue light flared, enveloping its slender arms. Its crystalline crest glowed intensely, sending ripples of energy through the compartment. Peripheral conduits now, the alien projected, its mental voice strained. Kai, despite his fear, moved with practiced efficiency, directing Eva and Jax to specific terminals. They worked frantically, rerouting power, locking down auxiliary systems, stabilizing the conduits as instructed. The alien's body tensed, its form shimmering, as if on the verge of dissolution. The sheer power it was channeling was unimaginable. Then, with a final, blinding flash of blue light, a tremendous concussive wave ripped through the Odyssey 2. The ship shuddered violently, throwing them against the bulkheads. Alarm shrieked. The lights went out completely, then sputtered back on, revealing a silent, unmoving ship. The warp core no longer glowed with a dangerous intensity, but hummed with a stable, low thrum. The alien collapsed, its iridescent skin dimmed to a dull, almost gray hue. Its crystalline crest flickered weakly. It had saved them. But at what cost? Silence. That was the first thing they noticed. The terrifying groans of the Odyssey II being consumed had ceased. The frantic alarms had quieted, replaced by the soft hum of emergency life support. The constant, ominous thrum of the void-fong vessel had vanished. Eva, bruised but alive, scrambled to her feet. Kai, status report. Kai, still dazed, crawled to his console. W-warp core stable. Main power offline, running on emergency reserves. Propulsion offline. Shields offline. Hull integrity compromised, but the breaches are contained. The void-fong are gone. Just vanished. They had been saved, pulled back from the brink of total destruction by an unknown alien. Eva, Jax, and Kai carefully approached the alien, who lay on the floor of the engineering bay, its iridescent skin now a mottled gray, its crystalline crest barely glowing. It was still alive, its chest rising and falling with shallow, almost imperceptible breaths. It risked its life for us, Eva stated, a sense of profound gratitude mixed with overwhelming bewilderment. It channeled all that energy. It could have killed it. Exhaustion. The alien's mental voice was faint, weak, the process draining. We need to get it to the medical bay. Eris Thorne's voice projected over the comms, having heard the events unfold. Carefully, we need to assess its physiology. Transporting the alien, which they later learned referred to itself as a luminary, and its name as Xylos, was a delicate operation. Its form was incredibly light, almost ethereal despite its height. Its skin, when touched, felt cool and smooth, like polished stone. In the medical bay, under the watchful eyes of Eva, Jax, and a cautious Eris, Xylos was placed on a biobed. Eris, initially hesitant, ran a series of non-invasive scans. Its physiology is remarkable, Eris reported, his usual scientific curiosity now completely untethered. Its internal structure is not carbon-based, but a crystalline lattice. It seems to process energy directly, without traditional organs. And its neural network, it's vast, clearly capable of complex thought and telepathy. Your species carbon-based, fragile, yet resilient, Xylos projected, its mental voice still weak. Eva knelt beside the biobed. Thank you, Xylos. You saved us. You saved everyone on this ship. The void-fong a shared threat, Xylos projected, its black eyes focusing on Eva. They consume all life, all energy. They destroy equilibrium. I am of the equilibrium. Equilibrium. Jax grunted, his skepticism evident. What does that mean? My kind Etherians. We are watchers, balancers. We seek to maintain cosmic balance. The void-fong are an anomaly, a cancer in the void. They must be contained. This was a lot to take in. Watchers, balancers, void-fong as a cosmic cancer. It sounded like something out of ancient Earth mythology. But this alien had just saved them from a real, terrifying monster. Why did you help us? Eva asked, the most pressing question. Your vessel contained life, Xylos projected. Innocent life. And your species. Potential. The void-fong thrive on fear, on suffering. Allowing your destruction would feed their corruption. We seek to deny them sustenance. An uneasy alliance began to form. The humans, wary but desperate, found themselves in a unique position. They were crippled, adrift in hostile space, with a damaged ship and sleeping colonists. Their only hope of survival lay with this mysterious alien, whose very existence defied their understanding of the universe. Xylos explained, in fragmented mental projections, that it had been tracking the void-fong for cycles, attempting to understand their migratory patterns. It had seen the Odyssey II being snared and had intervened, acting on its species' ancient imperative to maintain balance. Over the next few days, As Xylos slowly regained its strength, a fragile trust began to build. Eva shared details of their mission, their home planet, their hopes for Kepler 186f. Xylos, in turn, offered glimpses into its own existence, of the vast, interconnected network of Etherians, silently watching, occasionally intervening, to prevent cosmic imbalance. The uneasy alliance was cemented by shared vulnerability and a common, terrifying enemy. The Odyssey, too, was crippled, unable to make the long journey back to Earth. Their only path forward, Xylos explained, was to reach a hidden Etherian outpost, a safe haven where Xylos could fully recover and potentially help them repair their ship, or at least guide them to safety. But reaching it would mean traversing vast, uncharted stretches of space, deep within the territory frequently patrolled by the Void Fong. The journey would be perilous, a desperate gamble for survival. With the immediate threat of the Void Fong gone and Xylos slowly recovering, the grim reality of their situation settled over the Odyssey 2's crew. They were adrift, thousands of light years from Earth, the ship severely damaged, and 500 colonists still in stasis. The main drive is completely fused, Kai reported, his face smudged with grease, his voice tired. Even if we had the parts, it would take months to repair. And we're running on dwindling emergency power. We can't make it home. Eva looked at the small, glowing form of Xylos, now able to sit up on the bio bed, its skin gradually regaining its iridescent shimmer. What about this Etherian outpost, Xylos? How far is it? Can we get there? It is within 5 cycles of light travel, Xylos projected, its mental voice stronger now, but requires a specific navigational conduit, a series of gravitational slingshots and energy currents, too complex for your damaged vessel. And the path crosses Void Fong hunting grounds. Hunting grounds, Jax grunted, his hand instinctively going to his sidearm. They are drawn to life signatures, energy emissions. Your vessel, even crippled, emits residual warmth, and the stasis pods, the beacon of dormant life energy. Xylos projected an unsettling mental image, vast, dark regions of space, punctuated by the glowing trails of unfortunate vessels, pursued by the ever-consuming Void Fong. So we're a sitting duck, Eris concluded, his scientific curiosity temporarily eclipsed by despair. Not entirely, Xylos projected. My vessel, it is damaged from the pursuit, but it retains limited mobility. It is cloaked. If we can transfer some of your critical systems, power them from my vessel, we can link. Tow your vessel. Make the jump. This was another insane proposition. To link their crippled ship to an unknown alien vessel, rely on its power, and trust it to navigate them through a literal minefield of cosmic predators. Your vessel is damaged too, Eva asked, remembering the flash of blue light from Xylos' initial intervention. A void rupture, Xylos projected, showing them a mental image of a tear in the fabric of its own ship, a section of its crystalline hull fractured, from a direct encounter. Before yours. I was recovering. Tracking. You mean you were damaged fighting the Void Fong already, and still came to help us? Eris questioned, a newfound respect dawning in his eyes. Balance requires it, Xylos projected simply. The plan, as crazy as it sounded, was their only hope. It involved a daring transfer of the Odyssey 2's primary navigation and comms arrays, along with a portion of its life support, to Xylos' damaged, cloaked vessel. They would then use Xylos' ship, the Etheria, to tow the Odyssey 2 through the dangerous conduit. Kai, despite his reservations about mixing human and alien tech on such an intimate level, began drawing up schematics, guided by Xylos' mental projections. Lena worked on theoretical navigational solutions, translating Xylos' complex gravitational conduit data into human-readable coordinates. Eris began preparing the stasis pods for emergency energy reduction, just in case. This is suicide, Jax muttered, watching them work. We're putting all our eggs in one very alien basket. What's the alternative, Jax? Eva asked, her voice quiet but firm. Die here, waiting for the Void Fong to come back for the leftovers? or take a chance on a species that saved us when no one else could? Jax grunted, but didn't argue. He knew the odds, and he respected courage, no matter the species. The transfer process was grueling. The Odyssey 2 was designed for human habitation, not for alien modular integration. Kai and his small team worked tirelessly, cutting through conduits, rerouting power, welding new connection ports. Xylos, though still recovering, provided precise mental guidance, its frail form hovering near the active work zones. Slowly, painfully, the Odyssey 2 was tethered to the Etheria. Xylos' vessel, though sleek and alien, was surprisingly small, barely larger than a human destroyer, yet clearly packed with unimaginable technology. It was almost invisible to human eyes, its iridescent surface barely shimmering against the void. When the last connection was made, and the Etheria's cloaking field subtly expanded to encompass the Odyssey 2, a tense silence fell over the bridge. They were ready for the most dangerous journey of their lives, through the heart of Voidfang territory, guided by a being they barely understood. Their hope for survival hinged entirely on this uneasy, desperate alliance. The journey through the Voidfang hunting grounds was a nightmare of agonizing silence and suffocating tension. The Etheria, with the Odyssey 2 tethered securely within its cloaking field, moved like a phantom through the stars. Xylos, now back on its own ship's command console, was the sole navigator, its crystalline crest glowing steadily as it charted their course through the labyrinthine gravitational conduits. From the Odyssey 2's crippled bridge, now largely dark and running on minimal power, Eva, Jax, Lena, Eris, and Kai watched the main viewport. Xylos had linked their viewports to the Etheria's external sensors, offering them a chilling, real-time glimpse of the dangers they were passing through. Ghostly, shimmering distortions occasionally appeared on the screen. Voidfang vessels silently patrolling, their dark forms blending almost perfectly with the void. Sometimes they passed close enough that the hum of their gravity sinks subtly vibrated through the Odyssey 2's hull, a low, guttural growl that sent shivers down their spines. "They're closer than I like," Jax muttered, his hand resting on the hilt of his holstered pistol, a futile gesture against such a foe. "Their sensory capabilities are limited by my cloaking field," Xylos projected into their minds, its voice calm and steady. "But sustained proximity, or any energy fluctuation, would reveal us." That meant absolute silence. No comms, no active scans, no sudden movements. Even their breathing felt too loud. One incident etched itself permanently into their minds. They were threading a narrow passage between two colossal gas giants, their cloaked forms brushing past nebulae. Suddenly, a small, independent cargo vessel, not human, not Voidfang, drifted into their path. It was crippled, emitting a weak distress signal. A trap, or merely an unlucky target? Before Eva could even register the question, two Voidfang scout vessels, smaller and faster than the main consumption ships, detached from a distant gas giant and converged on the helpless cargo ship. The Odyssey 2 crew watched in horrified silence as the scout ships, like grotesque insects, swiftly entangled the vessel with their tendrils. The cargo ship's lights flickered, then died consumed. The Voidfang moved with chilling efficiency, leaving no trace. "My God," Lena whispered, her face pale. "They're like cosmic vultures." "They are," Xylos projected, a subtle ripple of what might have been sadness in its mental voice. "And they are ceaseless." The image solidified their fear and their resolve. They had to survive. Days blended into a blur of tension and exhaustion. Sleep was restless, haunted by the whispers of the Voidfang. Food was tasteless nutrient paste. Every shadow seemed to hold a lurking threat. Xylos, however, was a constant beacon of calm. Its focus was absolute, its mental projections guiding them through turns, micro-jumps, and gravitational currents that no human navigator could have mastered. It shared snippets of its knowledge, the Voidfang's reliance on consuming sentient energy, their aversion to certain high-frequency resonant fields, their ancient origins as a byproduct of a dying universe's chaotic collapse. The history was terrifying, but it offered a glimmer of understanding. One day, the Void Fong presence thickened. Dozens of them, silent and dark, were patrolling a large stellar anomaly, their forms barely visible even through the Etheria's advanced sensors. A congregation point, Xylos projected, its voice firmer. They are drawn to the anomaly's chaotic energy. We must cross through it. It is the only direct path. Cross through that. Jax exploded, pointing at the swirling, distorted mass on the screen, a region of space where physical laws seem to bend and break. That's a death trap. The danger is external, Xylos countered. Chaotic energies. But it masks our energy signatures completely. A veil of static. We must move quickly. Their sensors are disrupted here. The passage through the anomaly was the most terrifying part of the journey. The Odyssey 2 bucked and shuddered, buffeted by unseen forces. The cloaking field flickered, straining under the chaotic energies. On the viewport, the stars twisted into impossible shapes, and the Void Fong vessels seemed to swim in and out of existence, their forms distorted by the anomaly. They heard the chittering of the Void Fong now, a faint, unsettling sound that penetrated the Etheria's hull. They were aware of something. They were searching. Hold firm, Xylos projected, its voice strained, almost through. Just as it seemed the Odyssey 2 would tear apart, a sudden, violent lurch. The ship lurched, then steadied. The swirling chaos on the viewport began to recede, replaced by the familiar, if still terrifying, patterns of distant stars. They were through, and the Void Fong were behind them. Eva slumped in her chair, a shaky breath escaping her lips. They had done it. They had survived the hunting grounds. But the ordeal had taken its toll, leaving them weary, traumatized, and more dependent on Xylos than ever before. The Etherian outpost, Xylos assured them, was now within reach. Emerging from the Void Fong hunting grounds, the Etheria and its towed companion, the Odyssey 2, felt a profound shift in the cosmic landscape. The oppressive silence, the constant hum of unseen threats, gave way to a subtle, almost imperceptible sense of calm. The stars here seemed brighter, the nebulae more vibrant, as if cleansed of the Void Fang's dark influence. "We are close," Xylos projected, its mental voice resonating with a quiet relief. The sanctuary of the Etherians. On the Odyssey 2's viewport, a new celestial body came into view. It wasn't a planet or a typical space station. It was a colossal crystalline structure, drifting silently in the void. Its surfaces were a kaleidoscope of iridescent colors, shimmering with an inner light. It resembled a vast, organic snowflake, each facet pulsing with a gentle, harmonious energy. It was beautiful, serene, and utterly alien. As they drew closer, Xylos's mental presence grew stronger, projecting images of its home. Inner chambers of living crystal, vast energy conduits humming with power, and other Etherians, their forms varying subtly in color and crystalline structure, moving with the same ethereal grace as Xylos. The Etheria guided them through a massive, crystalline archway that opened seamlessly into the sanctuary's interior. The air within was breathable, surprisingly temperate, and filled with a faint, pleasant hum. It was not a sterile, artificial environment, but a living, breathing space. The Odyssey 2 was carefully docked within a vast, cavernous bay. Other vessels, equally alien and unique, were also present, some under repair, some apparently resting. "Incredible," Eris Thorne whispered, his face alight with wonder. "This isn't technology as we know it. It's organic engineering, pure energy manipulation at a fundamental level." Xylos led the human crew, Eva, Jax, Lena, Eris, and Kai, off the Odyssey 2 and into the heart of the sanctuary. Its iridescent skin glowed with renewed vitality, its crystalline crest radiating a gentle blue light. "Welcome," Xylos projected, its mental voice resonating with warmth. "You are safe here. For now." They were greeted by other Etherians, who observed them with silent, dark eyes, their forms radiating a collective, inquisitive energy. There was no fear, no hostility, only a profound sense of ancient wisdom and serene curiosity. Xylos led them to a chamber filled with pulsating crystalline pillars, where the atmosphere was thick with ambient energy. Here, I will fully restore my energies, and then we will discuss the path forward. While Xylos underwent its restorative process, the human crew had the opportunity to explore parts of the sanctuary. They witnessed Etherians performing complex energy manipulations, repairing damaged vessels with focused beams of light, and communicating through intricate patterns of telepathic resonance. It was a glimpse into a civilization beyond their wildest scientific dreams, a society entirely integrated with the flow of cosmic energy. Eris was in his element, cautiously observing, taking mental notes, his scientific mind reeling with new possibilities. Kai, ever the engineer, marveled at the Etherians' effortless repair techniques. Lena, the navigator, was captivated by their seemingly innate understanding of gravitational currents and warp pathways. Jax remained stoic, observing everything with a soldier's cautious eye, but even he couldn't deny the profound peacefulness of the sanctuary. After what felt like a cycle, Xylos emerged from the crystalline chamber, its form vibrant, its crest radiating a powerful, steady blue light. "My full strength has returned," Xylos projected, its voice now clear and resonant in their minds, and with it, a deeper understanding of your predicament. The Void Fong, they were alerted to your presence by your initial warp signature, a long-range beacon. They will not forget you. They will seek you. So even here, we're not truly safe. Eva asked, a new wave of despair washing over her. The sanctuary is protected by shields of pure resonant energy, Xylos projected. They cannot breach it, but you cannot remain here indefinitely. Your species requires sustenance unique to your biology, and your vessel requires extensive repair, beyond even our immediate capabilities. We can only provide temporary refuge. Then what do we do? Lena asked, her voice tinged with desperation. There is a way, Xylos projected, its black eyes fixing on Eva. A path to your home. But it requires a great risk, a journey not through the void, but through the echoes of the void itself. The revelation was chilling. The Void Fong would not forget. Their desperate reprieve was temporary. Their true challenge lay ahead, a journey through a concept, a dimension, that even the Etherian spoke of with caution. The sanctuary was a haven, but it was not a solution. Their path home would be through something far more terrifying than physical space. Xylos led the human crew to a vast, shimmering chamber at the heart of the Etherian sanctuary. Within it, a colossal, nebulous sphere of shifting colors and faint light pulsed with an ethereal energy. It was not a physical object, but a window into something else entirely. This is the echoes of the void, Xylos projected, its voice hushed even in their minds. A dimension, a resonance chamber of past and potential realities. The byproduct of stellar collapse, of universal forces. The Void Fong originate from the deepest parts of these echoes. They thrive on the chaotic energy within it. So it's not just space? Eris Thorne asked, fascinated despite the inherent terror. No, it is consciousness, emotion, resonance, a place where the memories of devoured stars and shattered realities linger. A place where the Void Fong are most powerful, most numerous. And you want us to go through that? Jax grunted, his skepticism outweighing his awe. To get home. It is the only path they cannot track, Xylos explained patiently. Their physical sensors are useless within the echoes. Their consumption is difficult, as there are no physical constructs to devour. They hunt by psychic resonance, by fear, by despair. Eva understood. The Void Fong might not be able to track their ship physically, but they could track their emotions. Their greatest weapon against the Void Fong would be their mental fortitude. Your ship, the Odyssey II, cannot survive passage, Xylos continued. It is not attuned, but the Etheria can traverse the periphery. And you possess a unique resonance, a collective of dormant human minds within your vessel. A powerful, focused energy signature that would attract the Void Fong within the echoes like a beacon. So our people are bait? Lena Petrova asked, her voice tight with anger. No, a focus, Xylos gently corrected. a concentrated source of the energy they seek. If we can draw their attention, funnel their pursuit, we can create a window, a temporary passage, a diversion. The plan was audacious, terrifying, and utterly desperate. The decoy, the Odyssey 2, stripped of all but essential life support for the stasis pods, would be remotely piloted by Kai, using a highly shielded drone interface from the Etheria. It would act as a massive bait, broadcasting a low-frequency psychic resonance to attract the void fong deep into the echoes. The conduit, Xylos, along with Eva, Jax, Lena, and Eris, would use the Etheria to navigate a narrow, perilous path through the periphery of the echoes, using the Odyssey 2 as a decoy. The resonance key, Kalen's specific genetic marker from a previous story, wasn't relevant here, but the general concept of human mental fortitude and resilience was key. They would have to maintain a state of calm and focus to avoid being overwhelmed by the psychic emanations within the echoes, and to prevent the void fong from locating them directly. The escape jump, at a precise moment, when the void fong were fully engaged with the Odyssey 2 decoy, Xylos would open a temporary, localized warp conduit directly back to the Andromeda jump gate, bypassing the rest of the hunting grounds. "This is insanity," Jack stated, his arms crossed. "We're sending our people, even if just a decoy, into a psychic dimension of pure terror, hoping to trick cosmic predators, and then make a blind jump home. What if the decoy doesn't work? What if the jump fails?" "The alternative is certain consumption," Xylos projected. "This plan offers a chance. A small one, but a chance." Eva looked at her crew. Fear was etched on their faces, but beneath it, a desperate resolve. They had come this far. They wouldn't abandon their people. "What do we need to do?" Eva asked Xylos, her voice steady despite her pounding heart. "Mental preparation," Xylos projected. "The echoes will test your will. They will amplify your fears, your regrets, your despair. You must learn to shield your minds, to project calm, to project unity." Over the next few days within the sanctuary, Xylos began to train them. It was a bizarre, intense regimen of mental exercises. Xylos would connect with them telepathically, projecting images of overwhelming fear, of personal loss, of the void fong themselves. The Ethereans' presence, however, acted as a constant anchor, pulling them back from the brink of terror. They learned to build mental barriers, to focus their thoughts, to find an inner calm even in the face of projected nightmares. It was grueling, but they knew it was essential. Kai worked tirelessly on preparing the Odyssey 2 for its role as a decoy, stripping non-essential systems, reinforcing key structural points, and setting up the remote piloting interface. Lena meticulously plotted the complex navigational sequence for the Etheria. Eris studied the Etheria's shielding properties, looking for any weaknesses. The plan was a desperate gamble, born from the depths of their despair. But with Xylos as their guide, their bond solidified by shared terror and a glimmer of hope, they were ready to face the echoes of the void. Their path home would not be an easy one. It would be a fight for their very minds. The time came. Kai was secured in the Etheria's remote piloting station, his hands poised over the holographic controls that linked him to the Odyssey 2. Eva, Jax, Lena, and Eris gathered on the Etheria's command bridge, their faces grim, their minds steeled by Xylos' mental training. Xylos stood at the main console, its crystalline crest flaring with powerful energy. Initiating passage into the echoes, Xylos projected. "Prepare yourselves. Maintain mental discipline." A shimmering portal, created by Xylos' focused energy, opened before the Etheria. They plunged into it, and the world dissolved into a kaleidoscope of shifting, swirling colors. It was not darkness, but an overwhelming, chaotic light. The moment they entered, the psychic assault began. For Eva, it was the crushing weight of her failure to protect her crew, the screams of the colonists she imagined perishing in the void. For Jax, it was the faces of long-dead comrades from the border skirmishes, their eyes accusing. For Lena, it was the feeling of being utterly lost, adrift, her navigational skills useless. For Eris, it was the cold, sterile void of meaningless death, his scientific pursuits rendered irrelevant. The echoes amplified their deepest fears, their most profound regrets. Whispers, insidious and chilling, slithered into their minds, telling them to give up, that resistance was futile, that home was a lie. Resist. Xylos's mental voice was a powerful anchor, a beacon in the storm. Focus. Connect. Do not let them consume your resolve. They forced themselves to remember the faces of their loved ones on Earth, the dreams of Kepler 186f, the shared purpose that bound them together. Eva focused on the faces of the sleeping colonists, their innocent trust a shield. Jax honed in on the memory of his grizzled drill sergeant's stern yet reassuring voice. Lena visualized a perfect, clear navigational path. Eris fixated on the elegant equations of a nascent ecosystem. Meanwhile, Kai, isolated in his piloting station, began to guide the Odyssey 2 into the heart of the echoes. He released a psychic beacon, a low, resonant thrum designed to mimic the energy of a terrified, vulnerable collective of minds. They sense it. Xylos projected, its form shimmering with effort. The Void Fong are converging. Thousands. Hold steady, Kai. On the Etheria's viewport, the shifting colors began to coalesce into darker, more defined shapes. Not physical ships, but manifestations of the Voidfang's presence, vast, predatory shadows swirling towards the location of the Odyssey 2. The psychic pressure intensified, a tangible weight of malevolence. They're closing on the Odyssey. Kai screamed, his voice strained, resisting the onslaught. So many of them. Now, Xylos commanded, focus your intent. Project Unity. Drown out the fear. Eva, Jax, Lena, and Eris, channeling Xylos's training, focused their collective will. They projected images of strength, of defiance, of the deep bonds of their humanity. It was a roar of collective will against the insidious whispers of the Void Fong. The Void Fong, seeking fear, were instead met with a wave of unexpected, resolute determination. It disoriented them, momentarily scattering their focus. The conduit. Now, Xylos roared, its crest flaring with blinding intensity. It poured its own immense energy into opening a direct warp conduit, a shimmering tunnel of stable space, bypassing the chaos of the echoes and leading straight to the Andromeda jump gate. We're moving. Lena yelled, her hands flying over her console, locking onto the coordinates. The Etheria shot forward, the Odyssey 2 decoy slowly shrinking behind them, its low psychic beacon still thrumming, drawing the Void Fong deeper into the echoes. The monstrous shadows turned, their collective psychic will now focused entirely on the seemingly vulnerable ship, consuming it with overwhelming force. They hurtled through the conduit, the swirling colors of the echoes receding behind them, replaced by the familiar, cold vastness of true space. The psychic pressure vanished, leaving them gasping, trembling, but alive. We're through. Eris gasped, collapsing into his chair. The jump gate. Lena cried out, pointing at the viewport. The colossal, ancient ring of the Andromeda jump gate loomed before them, its familiar energy signature a welcoming beacon. They had done it. They had survived the echoes of the void. But at what cost? The Odyssey 2, their home, their symbol of hope, and the 500 colonists within it, were now consumed, lost to the monstrous appetite of the Void Fong. Their survival came with a terrible, agonizing price. The Etheria emerged from the temporary warp conduit with a jolt, directly into the familiar, if still vast, space surrounding the Andromeda jump gate. The massive, ancient structure, a relic of a long-dead civilization, loomed before them, a silent promise of home. Silence reigned on the Etheria's bridge, broken only by the ragged breaths of the human crew. The psychic strain of the echoes of the void had left them physically and emotionally drained. Tears streamed down Lena's face, silent and profound. Eris sat, head in hands, his usually vibrant curiosity replaced by a hollow despair. Jax stared blankly at the jump gate, his usual stoicism shattered. Kai, still in the remote piloting station, slowly lifted his head, his eyes red-rimmed. The Odyssey 2, Kai whispered, his voice cracking. It's gone. All of them gone. Eva felt a crushing weight in her chest, a grief so profound it threatened to buckle her. 500 souls. Humanity's hope for a new beginning on Kepler, 186F. Consumed. Sacrificed to ensure their own survival. It was a victory, but one that tasted of ash. Xylos, its iridescent skin now glowing with a somber, deep blue, approached them. The sacrifice was necessary. It projected, its mental voice filled with a quiet empathy. Their essence consumed, but their potential protected. The Void Fang will not forget your courage, and they will not forget your resilience. Potential. Jack snarled, pushing himself up, his eyes blazing with a raw pain. They're gone, alien. They died for us. Their bodies are gone. Xylos countered, its gaze unwavering. Their unique energy signatures remain. Within the echoes, the Void Fang devour the physical form, but the profound essence that lingers. A distorted echo, yes, but an echo nonetheless. And for the Etherians, every echo holds possibility. Eva looked at Xylos, a flicker of something in her mind. What are you saying? The echoes are a repository of all that has been and could be. Xylos projected. We can retrieve the resonance. Reconstruct. Over millennia, perhaps. Not as they were, but as a seed. For a new beginning, if you choose to return. The revelation was staggering. A slim, almost impossible hope. A chance, however remote, to reclaim the essence of their lost people, not from death, but from oblivion. The journey through the jump gate was made in a stunned, mournful silence. They docked at the Earth Perimeter Station, a colossal spaceport orbiting their home world. The Etheria, with Xylos aboard, was carefully escorted to a secure, quarantined hangar bay. News of their return, and the terrible price they paid, spread like wildfire across Earth. A hero's welcome for the survivors, tinged with profound grief for the lost. Eva, Jax, Lena, Eris, and Kai were hailed as saviors, but their victory was bittersweet, haunted by the specter of the 500. Xylos and the Etherians became a subject of intense scientific and philosophical debate. Their existence, their powers, and their mission to maintain cosmic balance shattered humanity's previous understanding of the universe. The threat of the Void Fang was revealed to the public, a terrifying, unseen enemy that would require interspecies cooperation on an unprecedented scale. The Etheria remained on Earth, a silent testament to their perilous journey. Xylos, patient, profound teacher, began to share more about the echoes, about the true nature of the Void Fang, and about the long, painstaking process of resonating with the lost echoes of sentient life. The Odyssey too was gone, but its legacy, and the echoes of its journey, had opened humanity's eyes to a universe far more complex, far more dangerous, and far more wondrous than they had ever imagined. Their mission to colonize a new planet had ended in tragedy, but it had sparked a new, profound mission to understand the true nature of existence and to learn to defend it. Months turned into a year. Earth, still reeling from the news of the Void Fang, underwent a profound shift. The focus on outward expansion paused, replaced by an urgent drive for internal strength and interstellar defense. Humanity realized they were not alone, and the universe was not as empty or benign as they had once believed. The 5 surviving crew members of the Odyssey II became reluctant symbols of this new era. Eva Rostova, now promoted to fleet commander, spearheaded the development of new defensive technologies, working closely with Xylos and Etherian engineers. They integrated Etherian resonance shielding into human vessels, creating the first generation of true anti-Void Fang defenses. Jax Riley, the grizzled pilot, found a new purpose training combat teams in psychic resilience, preparing them for potential encounters with the Void Fang's mental influence. His hard-won wisdom, honed by countless battles and the terror of the echoes, was invaluable. Lena Petrova, her navigational skills refined by Xylos' teachings, became a key figure in charting defensive perimeters and developing early warning systems for Void Fang incursions. Her maps now included not just spatial coordinates, but gravitational and psychic signatures. Eris Thorne, the xenobiologist, transitioned into a leading researcher in Etherian human psychoenergetic studies. He dedicated his life to understanding the echoes, the nature of consciousness, and the potential for resonant retrieval, working tirelessly on Xylos's promise of reseeding the essence of the lost colonists. It was a long-term project, fraught with ethical complexities and scientific unknowns, but it offered a glimmer of hope. Kai Nakamura, the engineer, became instrumental in retrofitting Earth's deep space fleet, adapting Etherian energy transfer systems, and developing modular components that could integrate with disparate alien technologies. His work ensured that no human ship would ever again be a defenseless prey. Xylos remained on Earth, patient, silent mentor. It lived in a specially constructed crystalline chamber within the newly formed interspecies defense nexus, a joint human-Etherian research facility. It was not a prisoner, but a willing ambassador, its mission to educate humanity, to help them become stronger, more resilient. It shared more about the Etherian way of life, their understanding of the cosmos, and their ancient struggle against the forces of imbalance. Its presence was a constant reminder of the vast, complex, and beautiful universe they were now a part of. The process of reseeding the essence of the lost colonists was a profound and controversial undertaking. It was not a resurrection in the traditional sense, but a highly theoretical method of collecting residual psychic resonance from the echoes and cultivating it into nascent proto-consciousnesses in specially designed crystalline matrices. It would take centuries, perhaps millennia, for these echo seeds to develop into anything resembling sentient life. But it was a chance, a way to honor the sacrifice and ensure their legacy continued in some form. The first proto-consciousness, a faint flicker of light within a crystalline sphere, became a symbol of humanity's enduring spirit. The scars of the Odyssey II's journey remained. The loss of the 500 was a wound that would never fully heal, a constant reminder of the universe's indifference, but also served as a powerful catalyst. Humanity, once a species focused on its own expansion, now found a deeper purpose: to become a guardian of life, a protector of equilibrium, alongside the Etherians. The fear of the Void Fang still lingered, a cold shadow on the edge of their collective consciousness. But it was no longer a paralyzing terror. It was a challenge, and humanity, forever changed by their encounter, stood ready to face it, no longer alone, but with the quiet strength of an unexpected alliance forged in the void. Years passed, stretching into decades. The Odyssey II became a legend, a cautionary tale whispered in space academies, its tragic end etched into humanity's collective memory. But the true legacy of its final journey was the forging of an unbreakable bond between two disparate species, humans and Etherians. Earth's technology leaped forward in ways previously unimaginable. Etherian bioenergetic principles transformed warp drives, making them faster, more efficient, and, crucially, less detectable by the Void Fang. Resonant shielding became standard, projecting powerful psychic defenses that deterred the Void Fang's insidious mental attacks. Communication networks extended further, linked by Etherian-guided subspace conduits, allowing for instantaneous interspecies data exchange. The Andromeda Jump Gate, once a mere transit point, became a vibrant hub of interspecies cooperation. Human engineers worked alongside Etherian energy weavers, maintaining and upgrading the ancient structure, ensuring its stability for rapid deployment of defensive fleets. Eva Rostova, now an elder stateswoman of the unified Terran fleet, often stood on the viewing deck of the interspecies defense nexus, watching the graceful Etherian vessels dance alongside sleek human frigates. The sight was a balm to her old scars. The grief for the lost 500 never truly faded, but had transmuted into a fierce resolve to protect all life. Xylos remained a central figure, a bridge between two worlds. It oversaw the delicate, millennia-long process of echo seed cultivation, a project that had expanded to include the remnants of other species consumed by the Void Fang. The crystalline spheres now shimmered with thousands of nascent proto-consciousnesses, a silent testament to life's enduring will. Xylos's wisdom permeated human culture, fostering a deeper appreciation for inner calm, mental resilience, and the interconnectedness of all sentient beings. Children on Earth learned Etherian meditation techniques, not just for personal well-being, but as a defense against the unseen enemy. The Void Fong, though still a threat, no longer operated with impunity. Etherian human joint patrols, equipped with advanced detection and resonant countermeasures, actively tracked and repelled incursions. While direct confrontation was rare and costly, humanity had learned to starve the Void Fong, to deny them the sustenance of fear and chaos. They became shepherds of the void, protecting the delicate tapestry of life within it. The concept of a new planet for humanity, Kepler 186f, was never entirely abandoned, but the rush for colonization had changed. Future ventures would be undertaken with a profound understanding of cosmic dangers, with advanced Etherian safeguards, and with a new appreciation for the sacredness of life itself. The universe was still vast and unpredictable. There were still unknown dangers, still uncharted territories, but humanity no longer faced them alone. The scars of the Odyssey II's final voyage had taught them humility, resilience, and the profound power of empathy. They had learned that the most terrifying darkness could be overcome by the most unexpected light, and that sometimes the greatest help comes from a hand offered in the deepest void. The cosmic tapestry, once a terrifying, empty canvas, now shimmered with the vibrant threads of shared destiny, woven by the strength of an alliance forged from the brink of annihilation. The journey home had become a journey of discovery, not just of other worlds, but of themselves, and of the incredible, boundless potential for life to survive, to adapt, and to connect across the vast, echoing silence of the cosmos. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. What did you think? Let me know in the comments below.